Hey, what's up? So I know this is going to sound like a bunch of motivational mumbo jumbo, but your brain isn't broken, but your system may be. And I know that because mine is. And if you're anything like me, and if you've ever downloaded or used some kind of productivity app, made the perfect plan, and then just basically abandoned it like 3 days later, this is probably why. So if you don't already know, I have ADHD, and one of the most difficult things for me to do isn't the actual work. It's figuring out what the task even is when my brain has got like a dozen different compartments open with like 15 to 100 tabs open in each one at any given moment. So instead of forcing myself into another system, I started using AI in a different way. And it wasn't to give me advice, it wasn't to actually motivate me, but it allowed me to dump everything out of my head and organize that complete chaos, that mess, and find a pattern and choose the next move. And guess what? It actually worked, and it still works. And it all starts with 4 simple but effective questions, basically 4 prompts that you ask in a very specific order. And these 4 prompts work together. The first one gets everything out of your head. The second one is going to help you figure out what's carrying the most mental kind of weight, what's that book bag full of that you just want to get out. The third reflects the possible pattern back to you. And the fourth gives you just one small action that you can do immediately so that you can actually move forward. So we're going from complete chaos to a bit of clarity and then to a next move. So let's start with the first prompt. So this prompt is called the Brain Dump Organizer. And the idea is pretty simple. You give your AI the messy version. That part's important because most productivity systems, at least the ones that I've used, they kind of expect you to organize your thoughts before you put them into a system. But when you're overwhelmed, organizing those thoughts is usually like the exact thing that you don't want to do or you can't do. And you don't know what matters. You don't know what connects each piece to what. You don't know where to start. So how do you actually organize it? So this allows you to just get it out. So here's the prompt. I'm going to give you a brain dump of everything currently on my mind. It may be messy, repetitive, incomplete, or all over the place. Do not give me advice yet. Organize what I share into clear categories. Summarize what's going on and help me see the structure inside the mess. Then that's when you actually add your brain dump to it. So you put that prompt and then you add your brain dump. And there's one line here that's really, really important that I want you to pay attention to, which is don't give me advice yet. Because AI usually loves to jump straight into solution mode. Oh, let me help you. I want to help you. But you tell it you're overwhelmed and suddenly it's giving you a morning routine or a new schedule or a dozen ways to take control back of your life, right? I don't want any of that yet. You don't want any of that yet. At this point, I just want my AI to listen to what I have to say, take everything that I gave it, and then help me see what's actually there. The messy version is actually the point here, right? So once the brain dump has that structure, then we move on to the second prompt, which is the pressure point finder. Because when everything is kind of stuck inside your head and living in your head at the same time, everything is going to feel urgent, right? The email that you need to do feels urgent. The unfinished project that you've been thinking about, it feels urgent. Stuff like laundry or going out and cutting the lawn, all that kind of stuff feels urgent. Random ideas that you had 6 months ago or that you have to do in 6 months from now somehow also feels like it has to be done now. The thing is that urgent, important, and emotionally screaming at you are not the same thing. So this prompt, this next prompt, is what helps to actually separate them. And just by the way, I want to let you know that these prompts are all going to be in the Notion doc that I'm going to attach in the description, so you'll be able to get them there. So don't worry about trying to figure this all out right now. You'll just be able to get them all in the Notion doc. So again, the second prompt is, based on that brain dump, what seems to be carrying the most mental weight right now? What is actually urgent? What is important but not urgent? What is emotionally loud but may not need immediate attention? What might be distracting me from the thing that matters most? Explain your answer using only what I shared. And that last part is the important here. That's what matters, right? Use only what I shared. I don't want the AI inventing some deep story about my life because I said I didn't answer an email, for example, right? I want it grounded in the actual information I gave it, and that's it. And I like that this prompt doesn't just ask, what's my top priority? It's separating the different kinds of pressure. What actually needs to happen? What matters but can actually wait? What's taking up a lot of mental capacity, mental space that doesn't need action right now? And what might I be thinking about, or what am I focusing on? Because it's easier than facing the thing that actually really matters. So now that we know what's carrying the most weight, that still doesn't explain why we're having such a hard time actually moving on it, which brings us to the third prompt, which I call the pattern mirror. And this is where AI starts acting less like an organizer and more like a journal that's going to talk back to you. A normal journal lets you just get your thoughts out, and that's really helpful. I actually journal every single night. I write down something. I've been doing it for the past year and a half. Every single day, I've never missed a day. I write down like 5 or 6 bullet points about things that have happened that day, or things that I'm thinking about doing the next day, or whatever it might be. And again, it's helpful, but the journal doesn't respond to me, right? It's not going to tell me, well, you keep mentioning new ideas every time you talk about finishing the project. That's right in front of you, right? AI can actually notice things like that and reflect back on them. So here's the third prompt. Mirror the pattern you see in how I'm thinking about this. Look for possibilities such as avoidance, perfectionism, overwhelm, overplanning, novelty seeking, or fear of making the wrong decision. Don't diagnose me. Don't present your interpretation as fact. Reflect the possible pattern back to me and explain what in my brain dump made you notice it. And there's a couple of important guardrails in here. First, don't diagnose me, right? AI is not your therapist. You're not using it as your therapist. And I don't want the AI acting like everything it says is some deep psychological truth. The second guardrail is don't present your interpretation as fact. This is just supposed to be a mirror. That's it. It might say, well, one possible pattern is that you're using new ideas to avoid finishing something that now feels difficult. Maybe that fits. Maybe it doesn't. You have to decide that. The AI isn't telling you who you are. It's giving you something to think about. It's giving you something to examine. And sometimes seeing that pattern written out in front of you creates that kind of distance, or just enough distance for you to actually recognize and see what's happening and what's going on and what's causing this. So now that we've organized the mess, we've found the pain points, we found the pressure points, we've looked at the possible pattern, but we still need to do something. And this is where a lot of the productivity advice kind of loses me. This is probably where it loses you, because the solution is usually another giant plan, right? Here's your morning routine. Here's your 12 new priorities that you have to do. Here's a 7-day schedule broken into 15-minute blocks. When I'm already overwhelmed, that does not help me at all. It doesn't make me get started. So I have the original problem that I had. Now I have a 10-step plan that now I'm feeling guilty about not starting, right? So this final prompt doesn't ask for a plan. It asks for one move, one thing for you to do. So this prompt is simple. Based on everything we have uncovered, give me one tiny action I can complete in 5 minutes or less that moves this forward. Make it specific, make it small, make it something I can begin immediately. Do not give me a full plan, give me one move. And that's what it's going to do. It's going to give you something that should only take you 5 minutes. And I mean 5 minutes, not something you're going to say is 5 minutes, but then ends up taking you 45 minutes or an hour. And you also don't want something vague. You don't want it to come back and say something like, we'll work on the project. That's not going to help. It needs to be specific. For instance, open the document and write the first sentence. Put the 3 bills you need to pay on your desk. Reply to one email. Open the video timeline and edit the first 30 seconds. The action should almost feel too small. Because again, the goal isn't to finish the entire project. The goal is to just break what's keeping you stuck. Now, look at what just happened. We didn't jump from chaos directly into advice, right? First, we dumped the noise. Then we found the struggle. We found the weight of what's been holding you back or what's been keeping you stuck. Then we noticed the pattern. We noticed the possible pattern, right? And again, that's for you to kind of explore and think about and see, does this match? Does it not match? And just identify that. And then after that, only after that is done, is when we actually get to choose the action that we're going to do. right? The chaos became structure. The structure became priority. Priority gave us something to think about, something to examine. And that reflection led to one clear move. The AI didn't magically fix anything. It just gave me a little distance from everything that was happening in my head all at once. So that's why this works for me. It's why I created this video. I kind of shared these prompts a little bit more haphazardly with a friend of mine the other day, and they tried it and they actually liked it. They used it for a specific thing that they were trying to work on, not like a complete brain dump, but it was a project that they were trying to get done that they had a bunch of different thoughts on, and they just wanted to get, and I said, listen, do this. It doesn't have to be like everything that's going on in your life. It could just be for something specific that you're unsure about, that you're just thinking a lot of different thoughts about that one thing. You can use this the same exact way, right? And that's why it works for me, right? It's not magic. It does not fix my ADHD, and I don't want to claim that it does. But what it does is it gives me enough clarity, gives me enough distance from all that noise to see what's actually happening and choose just one next move. And that next move actually makes me start to continue and process from there, and progress from there, I should say. So if your brain just feels like it's screaming, right? Don't try to keep building the perfect system. Just dump your brain, right? Brain dump it, get all that noise out of your head, find that thing that's kind of the weight of it all. Have AI notice the pattern for you. Make that one move. Right? It's not magic. It's just the clarity to help you move forward. So I really hope you go out and try this. If you've been stuck on something, or you're just not quite sure, or if you've never thought about using AI as a kind of therapist in a way, give this a try and see what you think. See how it comes back. Let me know in the comments if this helps you at all, right? If you like videos like this, also, please let me know. Please let me know what else you want to see. Because I really do actually like doing these videos and kind of sharing these kind of thoughts that I have and think about and create. And if I feel like they're helpful, I share them. But if you guys let me know some things that you'd like, I'd love to be able to try to do them as well. So other than that, thanks so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. This is Craig, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.